Hey guys, sorry this is a little late. I actually overslept. Sorry. Um, this is the Money in the Bank 2017 SmackDown exclusive show recap and review. I actually watched this at my dad's. Like I said, I came back and I sort of fell asleep. So again, sorry about that. Getting to our kickoff show match, which I actually watched on my phone because we were also watching the end of the U.S. Open golf tournament. We have the Hype Bros versus the Colognes. Zack Ryder and I think it was Primo. I had the volume turned way down so I couldn't hear anything. Started off. Mojo Rawley tagged in, but the Colognes began double teaming him. Ryder managed to tag back in and hit Epico with a big broski kick. Primo then fought back and put Ryder in a half crab. The Colognes started to go after Zack Ryder's surgically repaired knee at that point. Eventually Ryder got the hot tag, and Mojo Rawley started splashing Primo a couple of times in the corner. And then the Hype Bros hit the Hype Ryder for the 3 count and the victory. No breakup of the Hype Bros, no Mojo or Zack Ryder turning heel. Like I said, it's a pretty mundane match. Okay, now moving to the show proper, and we're starting off with the historic SmackDown Women's Championship Money in the Bank ladder match. Charlotte versus Becky Lynch versus Natalya versus Tamina Snuka versus Carmella. I had some problems early on with this. The stream kept bouncing around, like a couple of times it kept bouncing in between the introduction of the German and Spanish language commentary teams, and then it bounced all the way back to the beginning of the kickoff show. So yeah, like I said, I had some other things. They also did another thing that really annoyed me. I hate when they play the vignette after the introductions. Like, either play the vignette and then the introductions, or just skip the vignette entirely and just do the introductions. Now there was a rumored participant that was going to be happening in this, but that did not pan out. It did pan out a little bit, but we'll get to that later. Right off the bat, all of the women basically rolled out of the ring and started trying to grab ladders, and then eventually Natalya and Tamina began fighting over a ladder. Charlotte then came in the ring and hit Natalya with a T-bone suplex into a ladder. Tamina super kicked Charlotte after that. Tamina catapulted Natalya into a ladder. Becky tossed a ladder into Tamina. Natalya began to finally set up a ladder at this point. Charlotte pulled Natalya down from the ladder and hit an electric chair drop. It's then that Carmella trapped Charlotte's knee in the ladder. Carmella kicked Natalya while Becky was in the sharp. Natalya had Becky in the sharpshooter, and Carmella kicked Natalya. Carmella hit a head scissors off the ladder on Becky. Tamina headbutted Charlotte off of a ladder. Charlotte then speared Tamina into the ring steps. Becky then powerbombed Carmella off the ladder. Becky was starting to climb the ladder, and at this point, James Ellsworth got into the ring, tipped the ladder over, knocking Becky out. He then tried to wake up Carmella, but she was still unresponsive. So he got into his mind to climb to the top of the ladder, unhook the briefcase, and drop it down to Carmella. As a result, there was a thing at the end where the referees began arguing, like, well, okay, what's going on? Like, well, technically she has the belt. It says whoever's holding the briefcase at the end of the match. And Ellsworth basically grabs the microphone and said, Carmella wins, and they started celebrating, and they went up the ring, and that was that. I know there are a lot of people who are kind of poo-pooing this, saying, oh, it makes it look stupid, it makes it look corny, and to an extent I can understand that it does make it look stupid and corny, but, ladder matches are really grueling. I don't like seeing a lot of... I'm trying to phrase this the proper way, but, I keep thinking, like, someone could really, really get hurt doing that. So the idea of having it be like that, I guess, makes maybe a little bit of sense. I actually thought it was kind of inventive. I mean, it's a good way to work Ellsworth into the match. I mean, you kind of thought that he was going to aid Carmella anyway, but like I said, I thought it was sort of funny. I mean, the crowd was actually cheering when he started to unhook the briefcase. You know, they only booed right at the end when they realized he had just tossed it to Carmella. I mean, I'm guessing the crowd just wanted Ellsworth to become the #1 contender for the Women's Championship. Okay, our next match is the SmackDown Tag Team Championship match. The Usos versus the New Day. In this case, the New Day was represented by Kofi Kingston and Big E. Kofi and Jimmy Uso started off. Jay tagged in and began body slamming Kofi. Big E then hit Jay with a big splash on the ring apron. Jimmy flipped Kofi up over the top ropes as Kofi was trying to do a suicide move. Usos then began isolating Kofi. Jimmy was the legal guy at this point. Jay countered a sunset flip, allowing Jimmy to pull Kofi out of the ring by his hair. Big E would eventually get the hot tag. Big E speared Jimmy through the ropes. Jimmy dodged a crossbody from Kofi and then locked on a tequila sunrise. Kofi countered a super kick into a dragon sleeper. It was actually a pretty impressive little move. Big E got a blind tag in and hit a big splash on... No, hit a big ending on Jimmy for a 2 count. Jay broke it up. Big E then went for another spear through the ropes. The Usos actually countered it with 2 mule kicks. Eventually the New Day hit the midnight hour, but only got a 2 count. Again, I think this time was on Jimmy Uso, and Jay pulled him out by his arm through the ropes. And at this point, the Usos kind of just gave up and took the count-out loss. So the titles did not change hands. Really good match for a pretty dour ending. I mean, I would have rather had it be a DQ than a count-out. It just seemed a little cheap. Okay, our next match is the SmackDown Women's Championship match. Naomi versus Lana. Naomi to open things off, Naomi started just tossing Lana into the corner and began hitting her with a series of chops and kicks. Naomi bulldogged Lana into the second turnbuckle. Lana came back and suplexed Naomi, sending her legs into the ring ropes. She also earlier dropped Naomi's knee over the top rope, or draped it. Draped it. Sort of, used it sort of like a spring. Naomi countered a Lana hold into a cross arm breaker, but she was selling a knee injury at this point, so she couldn't completely lock it in. Naomi did come back and hit the rear view for a 2 count. Lana then hit her sit-down spine buster for a 2 count. It's at this point that Carmella's music hits, and she comes out with the briefcase. She starts walking down and making like she's going to cash it in, and then she changes her mind. But it was enough to upset both Lana and especially Lana enough that it helped Naomi lock on the Anaconda device, and Lana tapped out soon afterwards. At that point, again, Naomi is still kind of bushed from the whole thing, so again, Carmella teases that she's going to cash in, but then changes her mind again. This was a pretty pedantic match. I mean, the only real interesting part was the fact we almost got a cash in. And I actually like that idea. I like that's something I've always wanted to see, was someone, like we've seen a cut where they tease a couple of times they're going to cash in. I just want someone to, like, every time the champion were to come out, be it man or woman in this case, basically just have that briefcase where come down and just sit next to the ring the whole time, like, okay, I'm going to cash in now. Well, maybe not. Okay, well, and then, have it be at like some weird time, like, Naomi got caught up in traffic, or she's really jet-lagged. Her flight got delayed, and she's really jet-lagged. She's not in condition to fight. And it's like that's when the cash-in happens. Like, that would actually be really cool. Okay, before our next match, we actually have a couple of interesting points to make. We had another Fashion Police segment, Fashion Vice. This was wind up setting up a match for later between Breezango and the team that destroyed their headquarters and attacked Tyler last week on SmackDown. Also, after that, we had the debut of Maria Kanellis and her husband Mike Kanellis. maybe if you're unaware, Mike's real last name is Bennett. He is her real husband, but she took his name, not the other way around. Anyway, they did not call him the Miracle. Obviously, they're doing this so they can WWE can have a trademark on something. They didn't have no matches or anything. They basically just came out and announced that they were there. They have this sort of, I would say, annoying perfect couple. I'd almost say it was a parody of Triple H and Stephanie and the Authority, but I can't quite say that for sure. They did not call Mike Bennett the Miracle. Like I said, it didn't really lead to a match. It was nice to see, though, because, again, that would have been the hot rumor at that point. Okay, our next match is the WWE World Championship match. Jinder Mahal versus Randy Orton. Of course, this is before the main event of the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, which means that we're not going to get a cash-in tonight. Anyway, Orton opened up and delivered a series of forearms and then went for a quick RKO. Mahal rolled out of the ring to avoid it. Mahal got back into the ring and Orton immediately hit him with a Fez press. Mahal countered a hangover DDT and flipped up Orton out of the ring. Orton back suplexed Mahal into a group of legends from, they said St. Louis legends. It was Greg Gagne, Barry Von Raschke, Cowboy Bob Orton, Randy Orton's father, Ric Flair, and it would have been Harley Race, but obviously because of Harley's recent fall, he couldn't make it. Kind of a weird thing. Like St. Louis was a professional wrestling hotbed at one point. It was actually where the National Wrestling Alliance was headquartered. It is weird that they have Baron Von Raschke and Greg Gagne there, who are AWA guys, not really NWA guys. But anyway, when Orton back suplexed Orton back suplexed Mahal into the legends. He actually landed right on Bob Orton Sr.'s lap. Mahal hit a shin breaker across an announce table. This allowed Orton to begin selling a knee injury. Excuse me. Mahal then hit another shin breaker on the ring barricade. Mahal then did a step over toe hold. He then locked on a figure four leg lock right in front of Ric Flair. And Flair is kind of like, kind of nodding in approval, even though he's supposed to be pulling for Orton. Orton managed to fight out it. He hit a power slam, and then he hit the Hangman DDT. Orton then hit the RKO, but it's at that point the Singh brothers pulled Mahal's boot under the ropes, so break the count that way. Kyoto was going to disqualify him, but Randy managed to talk him into letting the match continue and just ejecting the Singh brothers, which he did. But it's at this point the Singh brothers, instead of leaving, they began going after all the legends, in particular Bob Orton. Orton came down and started RKOing both the Singhs. He then back suplexed one of them onto an announce table. He then hit a running RKO onto another announce table. Basically, this allowed, when Orton got back in the ring, Mahal hit the Colossus and the victory. For the 3 count and the victory, sorry. This was actually a really, really good match. They managed to tell a good story throughout it. They didn't, they had a little bit of the stunts there towards the end, but it's not overly reliant on those spots. You could tell the crowd was into it the whole time. Like I said, you had the legends in the front row. That was a little weird, but understandable. And like I said, a really, really good match. Probably helped make the show a little bit. Up next is not the Money in the Bank ladder match. Instead, it's the Breezango, the Ascension match. The Ascension being revealed as the ones who attacked Breezango earlier on SmackDown. Basically, Connor and Tyler started things off. Tyler basically got isolated by the Ascension. Eventually, Tyler fought out, tagged in Fandango, who had a big spin kick on Connor. Fandango then countered. Basically, the Ascension went for the decapitation, which was a Demolition's old finisher, but Breezango managed Fandango rolled out of the way, managed to fight out of it, countered into a small package on Victor for a 3 count and the victory. Yeah, this match added absolutely nothing. I kind of wish they maybe just put this in, say, maybe an additional kickoff show match rather than putting it that low in the card. I mean, I get you want to maybe have some breathe space in between a big grueling match for the championship and then the Money in the Bank thing, but this just felt really out of place. Okay, now we are finally at the main event, the Money in the Bank ladder match for the men's SmackDown Championship. AJ Styles versus Kevin Owens versus Shinsuke Nakamura versus Dolph Ziggler versus Baron Corbin versus Sami Zayn. Right off the bat, they were doing the introductions, and Corbin jumped Nakamura during the introductions, beat him up, made it look like Nakamura wasn't going to compete in the match. The doctors are coming out to check on Nakamura. Corbin went down to the ring, basically told him to ring the bell, and they did. Zayn hit a suicide dive onto Owens. Ziggler and Corbin actually began working together and hit AJ Styles to the ladder. But then Corbin turned on Ziggler. Ziggler started climbing the ladder to knock AJ Styles off of the top rope. Oh, that's what it was. It was on kind of an incline. AJ was going to do his phenomenal forearm move, and Ziggler actually runs up and knocks AJ off that way. Corbin hit a deep 6 on Ziggler from the ring apron. Owens finally got a ladder into the ring. Zayn tossed Owens off of the top rope and onto a ladder. There was a big spot that happened off camera. You could tell, like, everyone in the arena is looking at that. Oh, you can hear the smack, but it wasn't on the hard camera, so it wasn't hard to tell. Obviously, I think it was Ziggler did something, because Zayn was climbing the match and was climbing the ladder, and then Ziggler pulled Zayn off of the off of the ladder and drop kicked him. Corbin and Styles began fighting on top of the ladder at that point. Ziggler hit a zigzag off of the ladder onto Corbin. Zayn hit Ziggler with a sunset powerbomb off of the ladder. Really big one, because he went over the top of the ladder and flipped him over, and Zayn actually took most of the fall, not Ziggler. Zayn hit Owens with a dragon suplex on the ring apron. At this point, it kind of became the AJ Styles show, because he had a phenomenal forearm on Zayn while on the ladder. Corbin then came in and chokeslammed AJ on the ladder. Owens then got a ladder into the ring, but Styles pulled him off. Styles hit a Shiranui on a ladder that had been draped in between one of the announce tables and the ring. AJ began climbing the ladder, get his hands on the briefcase, but then Ziggler pulled the ladder out. AJ was hanging. He was still trying to unhook the ladder, but still hold on. But he really couldn't, and he slipped and he fell and hit the ring. Corbin then began climbing the ladder, and that's when Nakamura returned. Corbin threw the ladder at Nakamura, who basically ducked out of the way and then ran into the ring. Nakamura hit a Kinshasa on just about everyone in the match. Nakamura and Styles then started staring each other down through the ladder. They moved the ladder out of the way and they began fighting. Styles countered a Kinshasa with a forearm, not a phenomenal forearm, but just a jumping forearm. AJ and Nakamura began to climb the ladder. They were fighting on top of the ladder. This allowed Corbin to come in, tip the ladder over, knocking both guys out. Corbin then climbs the ladder to claim the briefcase and become your new Money in the Bank, men's Money in the Bank briefcase holder. Pretty good match from a kind of a car crash perspective. I do have a wonder again if they there were a lot of rumors going into this that Shinsuke Nakamura was going to win this. Whether or not that's the case, I don't know. You could tell maybe they were setting up to do that when they had Corbin jump Nakamura at the beginning. Sometimes you hear about things like that. Both examples I know of involve Sheamus. Chris Jericho was supposed to win the Royal Rumble one Europe, then because that rumor got out that said, nope, Sheamus is going to win it. And then I think a couple of years ago, if you remember, Roman Reigns was supposed to win the Money in the Bank, and I guess they decided at the last minute not to do that and instead had Sheamus. win that one. So, not entirely sure if that was meant to be the case, but yeah, maybe they decided to finally. I mean, it's nice to see them finally do something with Corbin. He's always been that guy, just right on the cusp of maybe being something really big, but for some reason they just wouldn't get fully behind him. Now it seems they finally are. Okay, as for my thoughts on the show overall, yeah, this was a pretty mixed bag. Both the ladder matches I thought were really well done. The World Championship match was really well done. The tag team match was good except for the ending, but everything else was pretty. The Women's Championship match was pretty. I mean, the only real high point was Carmella teasing the possible cash in, and then after that, I mean, the two tag matches that I haven't covered, the non-title tag team matches, the Hype Bros and the Colognes, yeah, Breezango and the Ascension, yeah, really did kind of hold this back. I mean, I think I'm going to have to give this one a C. Like I said, I couldn't say it was great. I mean, a couple of great matches, but yeah, I mean, a really good match and a couple of really good. But again, it's kind of felt a little bland at times too. Okay, so next video should be the Transformers Last Night review. I don't know if that's going to be coming on Wednesday or Thursday. It might be coming Wednesday. It might be coming Thursday. After that, it's the Goon Random Trade review. See you all then.